what should somebody budget for a contract on, let's just use consulting contract or something like that. What would be like a budget out there of somebody that should look at something like that?
So it really depends on the contract. I mean, like, honestly, like I have to know more about it before I can say like what's a good budget for it. But I mean, I've seen simple contracts where, $1,500 is a good price. And then I've seen it where, I mean, it's eight to $10,000, right? And it really depends on the contract and how much time and effort that needs to go into it. I don't
I
like,
think
for
those
me,
are, I think that
go
at
ahead.
least gives
Yeah.
some a barometer for people, because you're not going into business to make $2,000. You
No.
go to church and they ask you to tithe 10%. Maybe we can kind of carry that over a little and say, once you get to a certain amount, maybe you float yourself for a little bit and then shore up your issues. Make sure you can make money.
Well, not only that, but you've got to look at it risk versus return. Okay. I mean, because a lawsuit is going to cost you a heck of a lot more money than a well-drafted contract, right? Like I was saying with that previous client, where, if I would have drafted that contract for $1,500 for this person, that would have saved them $4,000, right? Because of their liability on it. So it's not always about, and this was a photographer, so is the service industry, perspective. So it's not always about the money that you spend. It's about the money that you protect, or the situation that you protect. Because are you absolutely always going to get sued? No. Is there a fairly high statistical likeliness of you getting sued? Absolutely. People have this weird misconception that business owners have more money than they do. And so they'll sue businesses more regularly than they will a person. Ironically, with a business, they, like, asset wise, unless you're fairly very well established, your assets as an individual are going to be higher than as a business owner, right? Like, once you start getting medium-sized business, then we can talk about like asset levels being worth suing for. But anything less than medium, most of the time, most people are in their person have more asset. And I'm referring to your house, right? Your house is your biggest asset, typically, always. And in California, it's almost without question your biggest asset ever. Yeah. And so you're risking your house, right? If you don't do a contract, or you don't have a business entity. That's my other favorite thing, is a lot of people try to get started on their own, thinking they don't need a business entity like an LLC or a corporation or that type of thing. And what you don't understand is you're contractually liable up until you get that entity, right? And so your house, your 401k at your job, all of these different assets that you have worked so hard to obtain are at risk until you get that entity. And so they're not looking at it, they're looking at it as a side hustle, or, I don't want to deal with the complexities of this. Well, with that complexity comes what's called the corporate veil, and it comes security, right? You spend a little bit of money, relatively speaking, you get situated right, and then you have the peace of mind that, foreboding some serious issues, your home is protected, right? I mean, if your home's worth $500,000, and I mean, California right now, even in some of the worst places in San Diego, you're looking at $750,000 to $1 million, right? So when you're so you're going to risk your $1 million home, even in the worst case scenario, or not great home, for saving $2,000, for saving $3,000.